Well, I think if you move sort of through the brand portfolio, in the luxury space, St. Regis, W, and Luxury Collection, um, we won't do a high volume of transactions simply because we are going to be so selective. I mean, our perspective is for all nine brands, every new hotel that we sign has to be additive to the brand. So growth for growth's sake, I mean, for us as a very brand-driven company, and both owners and guests, I think, recognize that, is we're going to be very, very selective in what we bring into the luxury grouping. So for St. Regis to come into the system, it's going to have to be absolutely one of the top one or two or three hotels in every market. And our guests are so exacting, so demanding in what they're looking for, that we'll add 3 to 5 St. Regises a year, and that's just fine because I think consistent, high quality growth is critical. Same is true of W. I think 3 to 5 a year is a good number, and frankly, we want to make sure they're the right 3 to 5 a year, and we've got good momentum there. Luxury Collection is the same sort of thing. When you move into Sheraton, Westin, and Le Méridien, I think we have more of an opportunity to grow from a number standpoint. But by the same token, and you made the comment that you feel a real difference in the momentum of the Sheraton brand and the focus on quality on the Sheraton brand, because as our largest brand, we've got to be very cognizant of the fact that every new one that opens has to be additive to the brand. And when you look at the openings that we have coming up for the Sheraton brand, there are some fabulous hotels in China, and the strength of that brand in China will continue to grow. And as the Chinese consumer begins to travel more and more outside of their home market, they want to stay with a brand that they have recognition. So when we see Chinese tourists begin to travel outside of China, they are drawn to the Sheraton brand because it's so instantly recognizable. And frankly, because we know how to treat them as a customer. Because I mean, and having as many hotels as we do in China, I think we're at 115 now, and going to 150 relatively quickly. The base of associates that we have within the system, that we can move to new hotels, that we can move outside of China to give them an international experience and then rotate them back through. And it just, again, as a global company, we've got such a Chinese influence that's spreading throughout the world that, we feel we're in a particularly good position.
I'm going to put you in a pretty tricky position right now. Which is your number one market for 2013 from a signings perspective? Which market excites you the most?
I mean, it's a little bit like asking, of my 3 children, which do I love the most? It's a really tough question to answer, because I think that my job sitting at headquarters is to work with the guys around the world and the women around the world, and to look at where we're going to sort of have our growth focused over the next 5 years. And signing our 20th deal in China in 2013 is super exciting. Doing our first conversion of a hotel in Germany, frankly, for me, is equally exciting. So I know I'm avoiding the question, but very sincerely, for me, it's all about balanced growth around the world and balanced growth across our brands. So when we announce our first signing of an element in China, that'll be an enormously important thing for us, because that will be the first of many to come. When we do a conversion of a warehouse in Stuttgart to a loft, that'll be an incredibly exciting thing to do. So I mean, very sincerely, there isn't one market. I think from a volume standpoint, China continues to be a huge market for us, and it will continue to be the largest single engine for growth, although it's changed. I mean, 3 or 4 years ago, it was Sheratons and Westins and Le Meridians in center city top 10 markets. In 2013 and beyond, it's going to be 4 points in emerging provincial cities that are, not top 10, but sort of top 50. As the Chinese domestic consumer starts to become more and more affluent, the growth of our resort business is huge.